intro, jump forte, plunge, 3-4, forte, do your echo, swap cancel, do your E cancel, and then into your forte again, do another E cancel into your forte again, and do your big forte passive, ult, probably into another big forte passive. This is so hard to execute. Alright, so in the latest Wedding Wave story quest, we got the early access privilege to play Changli, and oh my god, she's so amazing. Her personality and airbag size, massive. Her hair color is honestly just perfect, and I really love her outfit. It has that like tech wear vibe a lot, and when I go outside, I do go outside a lot, by the way, for the record. I only really wear tech wear, so I'm absolutely in love with this character. This is my new wife. This is 100% my new wife. If anyone ever cosplay Changli, please slide into my DM. My DM is open. But regardless, I want to talk about her gameplay a little bit. I think this character's end up not being as good as I hoped it for. Doesn't mean she's bad, but I think there's some clear core problem that she has to display. In this video, I want to cover my first impression, give you guys a quick kit breakdown explaining what she does, how she is played, and if I think she'll be good or not. So with that being said, let's get into the actual gameplay. And as always, subscribe, by the way. Changli have one of the flashiest playstyles in the game possible, with extremely satisfying sound design as well as visual effect. This character is extremely satisfying to play. This character has some extremely difficult and long combo to pull off. Fortunately, she has an extremely fast-paced playstyles, which make you feel like you're clicking button the entire time. While Changli is one of the most satisfying characters to play in the game by far, I think she's also one of the more difficult characters to play with really precise execution, and she has the same core problem as Kocharu, which is very long animation that leave you extremely vulnerable. And at the same time, I just don't see her power level being potentially that high. We have to do more testing when the character eventually do come out, but here's my current overall rating with the characters. Changli seems to be a very big team-dependent character. Specifically, she seems to be one of our first dual carry type characters where you play 2 DPS in the party and they both do damage rather than doing your traditional like main DPS and then sub DPS and support in many other teams. While she has the same outro as Yinlin, which buffs the next character's fusion damage as well as ult damage, she's not a off-field damage dealing character, but she has a long on-field rotation. And I think that's one of the biggest defining points for Changli compared to any other characters in this game. The team that I will probably predict to be her best is going to be running her Chixia and of course your default support Verena. Chixia is a very good character to take advantage of Changli's combo situation because Chixia has a very low field time requirement if you're not doing her forte circuit. But most importantly is that Chixia Liberation does massive amount of damage. Currently this does 700% plus another like 500% on the actual bullet in a very big AoE circle, and this is probably going to be your best ability to take advantage of Changli outro. During the trial, we didn't get to play it with a proper team, so we will do more testing when the characters do come out. And again, this will be a good reminder to subscribe to the channel if you're not, just so you can keep up with the day 1 testing, as well as Changli Guy eventually that will come out later. But I want to give you a quick kit breakdown so you understand what this character does. Changli main mechanics is going to be True Sight, represented by her Forte Circuit passive. Certain specific moves such as her skills allow you to enter True Sight mode, which give you a true attack for your next attack. Hitting your special True Sight attack will generate you 1 stacks on your Forte Circuit. The ability that allow you to enter True Sight are going to be your final basic attack, your intro, or your skills. Doing any of these allow your next attack to be a True Sight attack, which is the special attack you see. You do have to hit the attack to get the stack, so you cannot build it out of combat, but it's have really good gap closing ability, so for the most part it's not too hard to hit it. Issuing a attack command while you have True Sight does a /, which is good for gap closing, while issuing a jump command while you have True Sight does this Phoenix attack, which puts you airborne. Once you acquire all 4 True Sight stacks, you can hold down your attack to do this special heavy attack, which does a lot of damage. Let's talk about some other aspect of her kit. Changli have quite a long basic attack sequence, mostly because you have to finish the entire thing to get a True Sight. Likewise, her skill has a rather long animation that leave her really vulnerable, which seems to be her biggest problem. Keep in mind that you have to finish your entire basic attack sequence to get your True Sight, so if you cancel all of it, or if you do a dodge, you reset your sequence. You can skip ahead your sequence a little bit by doing a heavy attack, which immediately puts you on your 3rd basic attack string instead of from the beginning. Using this knowledge, you can follow a Phoenix True Sight attack with a plunge immediately into your 3-4 basic attack into another True Sight attack. This will allow you to build stacks a lot faster than trying to do the entire basic attack sequence. Canceling your final E animation with a Phoenix attack puts you airborne again for another plunge. Changli also has a very nice animation, but more importantly is that it generates you 4 stacks instantly, so you want to use it at the beginning or at the end when you have no stacks. A lot of these might start to remind you of Kalcharo with long animation that leave you vulnerable, and at the same time, if you fail one part of your combo sequence, you lose like a stacks or something like that, which make the rest of your combo kind of fall apart a little bit. I think that's to some degree is true on Changli as well. Changli's biggest problem is that she has a lot of long animation with no iframe, and that's put you airborne. So it leaves you extremely vulnerable during your attack or when you're coming back to the ground. One of the most interesting things is that you cannot dodge cancel off Changli animation, and swap cancelling bring you to the same problem because your new characters will be airborne. If you swap fast enough while your character is still on the ground, it is possible to have your swap cancel remain on the ground, but this is extremely precise. You can find similar issues in her Empower Forte, which is with the full stacks. It has rather long animation, and while you cannot get interrupted, you can still take damage, so it does leave you kind of vulnerable. Her Empower Forte with the full stacks is also extremely close range only, so you have to be right on the enemy face in order to hit it. It does have really good AoE though, but you do have to be very close, which again means it puts you into the boss enemy attack range. This is by far the best combo I've found by far, where you start with a intro which puts you airborne into a jump forte, plunge to put you back on the ground, do your 3-4 basic attack into True Sight, do another forte attack, click E, forte attack again to get another stacks, click E, forte again to get another stacks again. And finally, use your Empower Forte with 4 stacks to do a heavy attack, and ult and finally into your second Forte attack. And this is the same combo on 100% speed. You can see that it contains a lot of long animation, and overall the combo is really long, which again, it has a lot of vulnerability frame where the enemy can easily attack and interrupt any part of your combo and mess up your momentum. Here is what the same exact combo look like, but with swap cancel instead, where it leaves you less vulnerable but with a lot more button mashing. So again, starting from the same startup sequence, we're going to go into our Echo, cancelling the last hit of the Infernal Rider with a swap, and swap back to Changli again. You'll notice that I tried to do a swap cancel here, but because I recently already swapped, I wasn't able to swap. This leave me extremely vulnerable on the way down and I got hit. Regardless, we continue with our Forte into another E swap, back into Changli to do our Forte. Finally ulting at the end once we have consumed our stacks. We ult at the very end because our intro allows us to immediately build a stack, so it's not worth it to ult at the beginning because then we lose the stacks. This brings us into a really interesting problem called energy leaking. Because we aren't able to ult at the beginning of the rotation, any energy that we generate in the rotation that when our ult is already filled doesn't actually get used at all. So we basically lose out on a potential bunch of energy, and therefore Changli energy requirement might be slightly higher as a result. I think at this point of the video is finally time to talk about what you came here for, which is my first impression. Overall, it's a pretty good first impression. It is not the best. There are things that are missing. She's very hard to pick up, very hard to execute. You can see that her combo is really long, really precise in terms of timing with a lot of button press. Compared to a different character like Jinshi, whose combo is 1, 2, 3, 4, E, it is so much harder for potentially a lot less reward. Again, on top of being much harder to execute because you have a lot less vulnerability frames. Changli is probably the least intuitive character to pick up in the game by far right now. And fortunately, you do have me as a guide because you're subscribed to the channel. But for any other player out there who are not into reading long paragraph, she could be very hard to pick up. And even then, when you do know what she does, she can still be very hard to execute. I would like to see casuals mobile player pull off the exact same combo as I did just now without getting hit. That'll be very interesting. And maybe even on top of that, add a swap combo in. Keep in mind that we're facing a relatively straightforward enemy who is big and not very mobile during the trial. And so I am not very confident that people can easily and consistently pull off the exact same combo when it comes down to fighting more difficult or even more mobile content like, well, Mepis or hologram crownless and stuff like that, which is why we have further more testing to do when she eventually do come out and we're able to test her in a proper boss fight environment. While her trial didn't have the greatest gear, she did have a level 90 signature weapon on top of having full level 7 skill across the board and being a level 80 character, which I think is already a pretty good benchmark. And even then, when we're fighting level 70 enemy, her damage just didn't look to be that great. So to me, Changli screamed to be a character that is slightly clunky like Kalcharo, not exactly because Kalcharo have a lot more problem, but a very difficult character to play with very precise timing execution requirement, and for maybe decent reward at best. Regardless, I think this character is fairly decent, but I would hesitate to say it is good, or especially if she's overpowered. I think Jinchi is a definition of an overpowered characters, where Changli is more like a decent character. So we can talk about that more during the actual release or in the first impression. And the thing said, as always, thanks for watching, subscribe. Okay, stop complaining about my hair, bye.